Hi guys, I'm here today to do my August reading wrap up. I am so sad for summer to be over because that means I have less time to read, but I'm also really excited to be going back to school because I'll be in my final semester of student teaching and I will be with high school students this year. But with the end of summer coming, I am going to be reading a lot fewer books next month. And I'm also introducing a new co-blogger to my site. But this month was a pretty impressive reading month. I wound up completing reading 13 books, which I think is my highest reading month that I recall. I also completed listening to one audiobook, and then I'm in the middle of two audiobooks, and I'll talk about those at the end of the video. But I had a really good reading month. Most of these books have all of these books I think have reviews on my blog, and most of them have videos. So I'm going to try to keep this video as short and sweet as possible because I did read a lot of books. But the first book I want to talk about is The School for Good and Evil. I gave this book 3 stars. It was the first book in the School for Good and Evil series, and it's about these two best friends who, in this society or this world, every year two girls or two students get taken to the School for Good and Evil, and one becomes a hero and one becomes a villain. And these two girls think that they're placed in the wrong school, and it's this wild ride about like who's a hero, who's a villain, and what does that mean. It was really, really fun. I really enjoyed it. It was a little bit long for me, and I think that the book could have been a little bit shorter, and I think I would have enjoyed it a lot. But I'm also going to see this author at a book signing this month, so I really wanted to read at least one book. I hope to read a second one, but I do have a lot of arcs that I have to read, so it might not happen. And I also did give the book of this to a little girl at the gym, so that's why I don't have a picture of it, or I don't have the book anymore. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It was super fun, and I'm excited to read A World Without Princes soon. The next book I want to talk about is one that I picked up this month at the Strand Bookstore, and it's called The Secret History of Us by Jessie Kirby. I do have a video review, and I do have a review on my blog. I got this on like a Monday, and I read it on like a Tuesday. It was a really, really short book. It's about this girl named Olivia Jordan who is in a really bad car accident, and because of that, she does not remember the past 4 years of her life. So you're in the process of her learning like what happened to her and then trying to remember like who she is. So it's a lot about self-discovery, and I really like enjoy amnesiac books. So go check out my review and go check my blog. I gave this book 4 stars. I really enjoyed it, and I thought that it was a really fun way to tell a story. I wish there was a little bit more interaction between um the um Walker and her throughout the novel, but overall I really enjoyed it and I gave it 4 stars, and I really hope to read more by Jessie Kirby in the future. The next book is an arc that I got from NetGalley, and it is the second book in the Shelby Holmes series by Elizabeth Eulberg, and it is called Shelby Holmes Meets Her Match. I really love this book. I thought it was adorable. I gave it 4 stars. If you know anything about Sherlockian myth, you will know without a doubt who we are meeting in this book, and it was adorable. I love the relationship between Shelby and John. I thought that they were so cute, and I love the reliance that Shelby put on John. I love their relationship and how it was tested throughout this novel. I love the interaction of the her arch nemesis, you could say, and I love the case. I thought it was really, really fun. This book comes out in early September, and if you have little ones and you really want to get them to learn about Sherlockian stories, I highly recommend this. And for older kids, I highly recommend the Study in Charlotte series, but this is a really, really fun read, and I gave it 4 stars. I will warn you, this book might require you to have tissues. It is If There Is No Tomorrow by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This book comes out on September 5th. I gave it 5 stars. Jennifer L. Armentrout's contemporary books have never I've loved all the ones that I've read. I read this one and Don't Look Back, and they just really impressed me. Follows this girl named Lena who, on a shocking choice, really shakes her world to its foundation. And it's told through 3 different parts. It's called Yesterday, Today, and Tomorrow, and it is a really, really heartbreakingly beautiful novel, and as somebody who had something like this very similar happening in my town, thought it was shockingly realistic. And the characters are so well drawn. I really loved Sebastian throughout this entire novel, and he may have beat for my new book boyfriend of the novel, just like as like a guy. I really, really enjoyed him. And I love the character of Lena. Lena went through a lot in this novel, and I think that it was done so well, and I just really loved the novel so much. It is really heartbreakingly beautiful, and it's definitely an emotional novel. Again, Adam Silvera's They Both Die in the End comes out this month, and if you're going to read these, I would not read them back to back because they will emotionally devastate you in equal times. But overall, I really loved it. 5 stars. It's a heartbreakingly read, but it's really, really worth it, and that's all I'm going to say about that. And I do have a review about this as well. The next book is one of the most highly anticipated books at BookCon and this fall, and it is Warcross by Mary Lou. I love this book. I gave it 4 stars. I love the world. I loved the characters. I love the diversity of the cast. I do have a video about this as well, so go check that out, or just my regular review. I gave it 4 stars. I felt like there was one twist that was super predictable in this novel, but everything else really surprised me, and I cannot wait for book 2. And I remember I said this in my other video, but I remember really not knowing how they could make a book 2, but I'm so invested in this story, and I really am impressed by it, and it was really, really well done. So if you were kind of on the fence about it, I highly recommend you check it out because it's really good. And Mary Lou is just a spectacular author, and I really want to finish the Legend series, and I really want to start her other series, but this was a very, very good book, and I gave it 4 stars. The next book I'm going to talk about is A Map to Wreck Girls by Jessica Tell. I'm going to say I gave this book like 3.5 stars. It didn't have enough. It was a good story. It wasn't good enough. It just was. I needed a little bit more to give it 4 stars. But I really enjoyed it. It follows these 4 kids who wind up getting stranded on an island, and they have to survive, through themselves. And it's a really well told story. I love the character of Emma and the guy that she's with, and I love the relationship between her sister. It was a little bit of a heartbreaking novel, and there was some like issues that I thought were handled really, really well. But it does have a lot of sister dynamics and a lot of sister relationships, and I thought that it was really well done. I love the multiple perspectives that we got, and I love just the elements of survival. I thought that it was done in a really realistic way. Sometimes when you have survival stories, they kind of get a little bit unrealistic, but this was really realistic, and I really enjoyed reading about it. I really loved the characters, and I was really invested in the lead girls part, I think, and I just really wanted, again, it was a very, very fast-paced read, but it just had some pacing issues, I would say, but I thought that it was a really realistic novel, and it was really, really well done, so I would highly recommend it. I gave it 3.5, 4 stars. If you're looking for kind of like a more intense summer read, I would definitely check it out. The next novel that I read was another book find that I found on a Monday and read the next day, and this book is Galgorithm by Aaron Caro, but he changed the book's name, so it's now, I think it's You Plus Me Equals Us, and it's basically a modern version of Cyrano de Bergerac, and it's about this guy who thinks he has he basically is helping less popular guys get girls, and he kind of comes up with a formula, and he calls it the Galgorithm. And it's also like follows him as a matchmaker, but also follows him in an unexpected romantic entanglement. But I really loved it. I gave it like 4 stars. The story was so well done, and I loved not only Shane's journey through the story, but also like the side matches that he developed, and I just loved the Shane the character. That was great. You don't often get a lot of lead boy novels where he is the only perspective that you get. Most of the time it's balanced off by a girl. But I loved him in this book, and it's actually 99 cents on your Kindle if you want to go get it, because it's such a cute romantic story, and it was probably one of the only romance books I read this month, and I really, really loved it. And I was so glad that I found it for really, really cheap at the book off, but you guys can also get it for $1 on your Kindle. But yeah, I really recommend it. Go check out my video and my blog if you want more information. The next book is another book. I think it's out already. I think it came out this week. and it's called Mask of Shadows by Lindsay. I also received this book for NetGalley, so thank you again, NetGalley. I gave this book 3 stars. It did remind me a lot of Thorn of Glass, and I felt like the pacing was a little bit off at points, but I love the main character. She's a gender fluid character, and I really have never read a fantasy novel with a character like that in the lead, and I loved it. I love the characterization. I thought the world building was done very, very well. I just wanted the pacing to go a little bit faster, and I'm really intrigued for book 2 because it left off on kind of a cliffhanger. But I just wanted a little bit more. Like I felt like the book, I just wanted it to challenge the normal story types a little bit, and it just was a little bit predictable at points. But I still really love the main character, and I'm really excited to see where their journey goes next. So make sure you go check out my blog post, and I think I did a video review about it as well. But yeah, so I gave it 3 stars, and I'm really excited for book 2. Been saying for a while I really wanted to read a magic book, so I finally picked up The Best Kind of Magic by Crystal Serreri. I love this book. I gave this book 4.5 stars. It was the perfect book that I needed to read for like my magic kick, and I'm so excited that I read it. It follows this girl named Amber Sand who lives in a society where supernatural creatures just kind of exist. Most people know about them, but some people don't. And her family is like a long lineage of witches, and her mom's like a very, very big, powerful witch. But she unfortunately did not get that gene, and she is a matchmaker, which means when she looks at anyone, she could always see their soulmate. And I think it's just, the book was so well done. It was like the perfect, it was kind of reminding me a little bit of Buffy in some instances, and I really loved it. And I loved the magic. I loved how it really challenged the storytelling that I was expecting, and it really did surprise me. There was a couple of predictable elements, but I just love the various creatures that we get, and I love the mystery. I really hope I don't have to wait until next year to read book 2 because I have to know what happens. But this was a really good book, and I highly recommend it, especially if you like witchcraft and wizardry or other supernatural creatures. I just thought it was really well done, and I gave it 4.5 stars. The next book I read is another one of the Game Changer books from Penguin, and it's Jane Unlimited by Kristin Cashore. This cover is so sparkly. And I do have a video review about this, so if you want more information, go check it out. But I gave it 4 stars. I really enjoyed it. It basically follows this girl named Jane who, at the end of the first part of this book, after she is sent to this house that her aunt told her to go to after her aunt passed away, she is faced with a choice to 4 different storylines that possibly could happen, and you experience those storylines, and they're all very, very different, and you get a lot of different genres in it. But I really enjoyed it. I gave it 4 stars. It's the first book I ever read by Kristin Cashore, and I really loved her world building. There were some stories that I did like more than others, but go check out my video review if you want more information, because I really enjoyed it, and I hope to read more by Kristin Cashore in the future, and I'm curious to see if this will turn into a series or if it is a standalone. But overall, I gave it 4 stars. Next book is another book that I got from NetGalley. NetGalley through Entangled Teen, and it is called The Summit. This book comes out, I think, the first week of September, but I really enjoyed it. It was super creepy, so I highly recommend to save this book for Halloween because it was a perfect creepy novel. It dealt with witchery and the talking. It was like a ghost story, but it had some witchcraft elements. The mythology was really, really cool. I gave it like 3.5, 4 stars. I loved how it was it was a complete story. I would definitely consider this to be a standalone. I didn't do a video review, but I do have my a review coming up, and it'll be up the first week of September, which is probably next week. But I really enjoyed it. It was such a fun book. And it was it fulfilled another witchcraft book in my life. But definitely go check out my review when it's up, and I gave it 4 stars. So the next book I'm gonna talk about is The Littlest Bigfoot by Jennifer Weimer. I got the sequel to this book at BookCon. Someone just handed me the book and I took it, so I had to read the first book. I loved it. It was so cute. It was 4 stars. I'm running out of time on this video, but go check out my blog because it will be up either today or tomorrow where I review it in full. But it was adorable, and I cannot wait to read book 2. And the last book I'm going to talk about is Take the Key and Lock Her Up by Ally Carter, which is the final book in the Embassy Rose. I just finished this book like 2 hours ago. I really enjoyed it. That was a really good conclusion to the series. I gave it 3 stars just because I've been reading a lot of books like this, mystery books in this same vein. So the story did feel a little bit predictable at points. Like I could probably predict what was going to happen. But overall, it was a fast paced story. I grew to love Grace. I think Grace is a very, very shattered character. I think I'll do a series review about this maybe today or tomorrow. But overall, I did love the story and I loved her friends. Ally Carter really does groups of friends really, really well. I've noticed that in her other series, but overall, I really did like the Embassy Rose series and I highly recommend that you check it out. All right, I am going to tell you everything else in my September TBR, so I hope you guys are having a great day. Let me know in the comments what was your favorite book that you guys read in August, and I'll talk to you guys later. Bye!